This is not Snow White, but this is the movie that they made. And it's like, oh yeah, she's going to be a girl boss. She's going to liberate her kingdom. Well, congratulations, you played yourself. This is what you get when you try to push feminism and bullshit girl boss moves on the people.
To everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
I don't need your business. You know what? Maybe Disney does. Maybe you're a tool, you're a pawn in this film.
Okay. Looking like a complete slob. Hungover as hell.
Imagine a small-town girl whose voice echoed down local streets, who never thought her life would shift from school musicals to Hollywood's golden stages. That's Rachel Zegler's story. Born in Clifton, New Jersey in 2001 to Colombian parents, she fell in love with performing before she could even form sentences. Music filled her home, and every note she sang in the classroom became a spark for a future she could only dream of. But dreams met destiny when, at 16, she submitted a homemade audition tape for Steven Spielberg's live-action remake of West Side Story. Overnight, the internet buzzed with excitement as Spielberg himself announced he'd cast an unknown teenager as Maria, a role that launched Zegler into the stratosphere. Critics called her debut performance magnetic and breathtaking, praising the raw emotion she brought to every scene. Within months, she earned the Golden Globe for Best Actress in a Musical or Comedy, cementing her reputation as Hollywood's newest darling. Suddenly, her social media followers skyrocketed, and every headline wondered which major franchise would claim her next. Fans flooded Twitter with hashtag Princess Zegler, celebrating her as a symbol of diverse representation. Industry insiders noted her advocacy. As set photos leaked, fans debated every costume detail and every frame teased on Instagram, fueling anticipation for a release that could redefine a century-old fairy tale. Zegler moved from her New Jersey roots to California's sunshine, swapping backyard rehearsals for studio soundstages. She endured months of intense training in period dialect, swordplay, and vocal coaching, determined to prove she was more than a breakout novelty. She navigated red carpets and late-night talk shows with grace, always framing each appearance as another step toward honoring the character's legacy. And when she stood in that wardrobe of shimmering fabric and embroidered lace, she channeled every lesson she'd learned, from singing in church basements to commanding a global stage. Her YouTube channel racked up views with behind-the-scenes clips, and she interviewed fellow actors on her Instagram Live, giving fans a look at Hollywood's inner workings. Industry chatter speculated whether she would earn an Academy Award nomination. She became one of the youngest Golden Globe winners in history. Fan artists filled galleries with portraits of her in Snow White's signature dress, and hashtag our Zegler fairy tale truly trended worldwide. Vogue ran an editorial calling her the voice of a new generation. Audiences who had only known her through trailers were already waiting with bated breath for opening night. This was the moment Rachel Zegler had been. Just weeks before Snow White was set to grace theaters, sensational social media posts began pouring in, claiming Disney had secretly removed all copies from store shelves and even from marquee listings. One popular YouTuber asserted that DVDs, Blu-rays, and branded toys vanished overnight in national retail chains, dubbing it a corporate panic move designed to scrub the film from public memory. Across Twitter, influencers shared grainy videos of what looked like barren shelf space in big box stores, often punctuated with dramatic music and captions like, "Disney erases Snow White." Even more dramatic were claims that employees at certain outlets refused to restock merchandise, allegedly afraid of taking responsibility for what they regarded as a doomed project. On forums, posts circulated detailing how theater managers allegedly received secret instructions to pull the title early, citing poor ticket sales and negative focus group feedback. But amid the dramatic flair, concrete evidence remained elusive. Major news outlets and entertainment trade publications reported no corporate statement or recall notice, and Disney's official channels continued to promote the film unabated. Retailers contacted by journalists denied any wholesale removal, attributing sparse shelf space to normal inventory rotation and varying regional demand. They argued that creators seeking clicks often weaponize selective footage without context, reinforcing the notion that the best way to generate views was to stoke controversy. And as for Rachel Zegler's alleged collapse, the only viral video showed her wiping tears during an emotional Q&A, without any indication of mental breakdown or career-ending despair. That clip, framed with sensational titles and abrupt cuts, became further proof of how quickly a few seconds of footage can balloon into a full-blown narrative. Industry insiders privately scoffed at the theories, noting Disney routinely carefully manages inventory in line with marketing and seasonal promotions. Viewed objectively, the shelf removal and collapse rumors exemplify the modern clickbait ecosystem, where every rumor finds an eager audience, and every anecdote risks becoming an entrenched fact. Yet the true barometer for Snow White's fate would emerge not from empty store aisles, but from the seats inside theaters, where ticket sales and audience reactions would tell the unvarnished story. Then came the moment no Disney PR team could spin. The first weekend box office numbers arrived, and the results were jaw-dropping, but not in a good way. Despite the marketing blitz, record-setting promotional partnerships, and social media hype, Snow White barely scraped past an opening total that fell far short of it. Insiders say that major chains like AMC and Regal saw attendance drop by nearly 60% compared to the average Disney opening weekend, prompting managers to consolidate screenings onto fewer screens by the second day. In one Los Angeles multiplex, digital marquees that once displayed showtimes back-to-back for Snow White quietly switched over to other tentpole releases midweek. When asked for comment, a theater manager admitted off-record that they'd been given instructions to reallocate screens to titles performing stronger and clear the decks for the next Disney release slated for summer. Overseas markets delivered even more troubling news. European box office tallies fell short of projections, with UK ticket sales down nearly 50%. Variety reported that in certain markets, distributors requested refunds on their advance orders, a move almost unheard of for a film backed by Disney's brand power. In China, rumors circulated about a last-minute ban based on creative differences, but trade papers later clarified that theater chains voluntarily limited showtimes after test screenings underperformed. Even markets that traditionally embrace Disney's princess lineup felt the impact. Pundits pointed out that lackluster word of mouth and a lukewarm cinema score grade spelled trouble. Audiences gave the film a BE, a score rarely seen for Disney princess properties. By the end of week one, cumulative domestic gross lingered under $100 million, making Snow White one of Disney's few major releases to struggle so visibly. For Rachel Zegler, who had championed the film's merits with unwavering confidence, the box office reports must have landed like a gut punch. Interviews aired where she praised the film as groundbreaking and essential for modern storytelling. Yet critics felt the narrative pacing dragged, and audiences balked at the heavy-handed messaging that overshadowed the classic fairy tale charm. Chat rooms lit up with heated debates. Did the updated character arc resonate, or did it alienate longtime Disney fans? Transition. But empty theaters and disappointing ticket sales were just the beginning. Soon, the fallout would spread swiftly backstage. Behind the scenes, sources described industry whispers claimed his scenes were cut in late edits, allegedly at Rachel's suggestion, fomenting resentment and fueling on-set politics. Studio executives, desperate to contain the narrative, issued statements praising the ensemble cast's dedication and promising creative synergies. Yet privacy clauses prevented clarifications, leaving fans to piece together gossip threads on Reddit and fan forums. One anonymous crew member described the atmosphere as toxic, citing constant reshoots and last-minute script rewrites that had everyone scrambling. Several promotional interviews highlighted the divide. In a Vanity Fair profile, Godot's glowing comments pivoted abruptly to corporate jargon, while Rachel's quotes leaned into activism, forcing journalists to stitch sound bites into a coherent narrative. A studio publicist even drafted backup contingency plans, luxury brand endorsements, and independent film detours to distract from Snow White's troubles, fueling talk of a production in crisis. Publicly, Rachel continued to promote the film with enthusiasm, sharing behind-the-scenes smiles and praising her co-stars. But the contrast between on-camera camaraderie and off-camera tension became impossible to ignore, especially when a leaked audio clip captured a heated exchange between Rachel and a producer over final cut decisions. The brief but pointed argument underscored how creative disputes had crossed into personal conflict. After the premiere, Burnap's manager released a terse memo stating, "Andrew is proud of the cast's efforts and looks forward to fan reactions." Yet industry insiders noted that Burnap's agent circulated his resume for TV roles, a rare move for an actor still supporting a major release, stoking rumors that he was quietly distancing himself from the Disney brand. Transition. As relationships on set fractured, the fallout soon extended beyond tension, heading straight into project cancellations that would rock Hollywood's foundations to their very core. Amid Disney's efforts to contain the fallout from Snow White, one of the most startling moves was the abrupt cancellation of Tangled, originally slated to begin principal photography in early 2026. Behind closed doors, storage rooms held empty folders where storyboards for Rapunzel's golden braid would have appeared, and costume designers found their fabric swatches returned to vaults. Marketing teams, who had invested weeks crafting vintage-inspired posters and digital teasers, were told to pull every asset as if the project never existed. Prototype merchandise, from collectible figurines to themed stationery, suddenly became dead stock, prompting warehouse clearance sales that only underscored fans' dwindling enthusiasm. Advertising agencies faced last-minute contract terminations, triggering disputes over hefty cancellation fees. Meanwhile, talent agencies watched actors attached to Rapunzel's role lose a career-defining opportunity overnight, and crew members who had already packed equipment for test shoots found their call sheets evaporated. Industry analysts noted that Disney's decision to kill Tangled was as much a financial safeguard as a reputational one. Halting the film prevented compounding losses on the heels of Snow White's struggles. For Rachel Zegler, who had been loosely linked to Rapunzel during early casting whispers, the cancellation served as a sobering reminder that star power alone cannot shield a project from corporate risk assessments. Conversations in studio hallways shifted toward tighter greenlight protocols, with executives elsewhere recognizing that high-profile talent no longer guarantees a greenlight. This rare move to pull a near-ready tentpole signaled a fundamental shift in Hollywood's approach to big-budget remakes, emphasizing data-driven forecasts over celebrity-driven hype. Above all, the Tangled cancellation became a cautionary tale for creatives and executives alike, illustrating that even the most enchanting fairy tale adaptations can vanish overnight when public sentiment and financial stakes collide. Amid the rubble of Snow White's underperformance, Disney's next releases told a starkly different tale. Lilo and Stitch, resurrected from Disney's vault and released quietly to limited fanfare, nonetheless outgrossed Snow White's entire U.S. opening total within days. Theater owners reported midweek screenings selling out faster than Snow White's Friday previews and merchandising tie-ins. Industry analysts noted that while studios expected Snow White to dominate family demographics, Lilo and Stitch captured a broader audience, appealing equally to nostalgic adults and eager children seeking lighthearted fun. Meanwhile, the live-action Minecraft movie redefined expectations for video game adaptations. With its deceptively simple premise, blocks, mobs, and Jack Black's boisterous performance, it soared past $150 million domestically, dwarfing Snow White despite a marketing budget less than a quarter of its competitors. Critics applauded Minecraft's embrace of playful chaos, and online buzz centered on viral moments rather than political debate. Fans shared memes of creeper scares and building triumphs, fueling word-of-mouth growth far beyond initial projections. Streaming platforms also benefited, with Lilo and Stitch debuting atop Disney Plus weekly rankings, and Minecraft topping global streaming charts within its first fortnight. Meanwhile, third-party rental services like Amazon Prime saw spikes of over 120% in digital purchases, underscoring the film's widespread appeal compared to Snow White's muted digital footprint. For Rachel Zegler, whose star power had failed to translate into box office magic, these juxtaposed triumphs offered a harsh lesson. Disney executives circulated internal reports highlighting Lilo and Stitch and Minecraft as case studies in genuine audience engagement, urging creative teams to prioritize unfiltered entertainment over heavy messaging. Marketing divisions dissected meme metrics, ticket sale demographics, and social sentiment heat maps, extracting takeaways on tone, pacing, and brand loyalty. This chapter in Disney's blockbuster saga closed with a clear warning. In an era where any franchise, no matter how niche, can dethrone a princess, even the most iconic characters must earn their place through genuine connection. Transition. But even these record-breaking rivals would soon face their own reckoning. Then Rachel Zegler's most personal moment went viral, an Instagram Live in which she wiped away tears and spoke softly about her hopes for Snow White. In that raw clip, viewers watched her voice tremble as she insisted that she poured her heart into the role and pleaded for compassion in the face of harsh online criticism. The video showed Rachel curled into a corner of a plush hotel suite, her signature black dress slightly rumpled, and a single intense tear glistening as she explained that failure hurt more than she ever expected. Fans around the world paused their scrolling to witness one montage titled Snow White's Meltdown, amassed millions of views overnight, cementing the narrative that Rachel had crumbled under pressure. A few days later, the moment crystallized further when Rachel attended a special screening with bouquets in hand. Theaters were nearly empty, the silence broken only by the camera's click. Images of her standing alone in a row of vacant seats circulated widely, reinforcing the meme that she was hosting a solemn private funeral for a ghostly film. That scene became shorthand for Snow White's fate, beautiful in concept, but abandoned in reality. Transition. Next, we'll explore how this public unraveling reshaped Rachel Zegler's relationship with Hollywood. In the wake of Snow White's public unraveling, Rachel Zegler found the doors of Tinseltown swinging shut more swiftly than ever before. Once heralded as the fresh face of a new generation, she began encountering polite declines from agents and casting directors who once vied for her attention. Studio executives, chastened by the film's missteps, insisted on detailed risk assessments rather than raw talent without guarantees. Zegler's name, which had previously opened meeting room doors, now prompted cautious inquiries and delayed greenlights. Independent filmmakers celebrated for bold casting choices, hesitated to attach her to passion projects for fear that her recent box office association might eclipse a film's artistic merits. Festival invitations dwindled, and speaking engagements at industry conferences were quietly canceled. Meanwhile, her personal inbox flooded with unsolicited advice columns urging her to rebrand and rebuild, a stark contrast to the direct offers she enjoyed after West Side Story. Critics who once judged her performance harshly began to notice subtle shifts in her craft, praising nuanced turns in early screenings of indie dramas. Directors known for reviving careers requested private meetings to discuss challenging roles that could highlight her strengths. Agents touted her resilience and on-screen authenticity, emphasizing her ability to anchor ensemble casts rather than carry